There's so much to do that you don't even know where to begin. You are feeling massively overwhelmed, and you're probably starting to panic as well, because all of this stuff, it just has to get done, right? Whenever you try to get started with something, you just end up feeling overwhelmed again. PhD life can be tough because you are spinning a lot of plates, you are juggling an awful lot of stuff, and overwhelm, it kind of goes with the territory. And I don't think that we can ever make overwhelm completely go away, but we can put in place some strategies to help us cope better with it when we do feel ourselves getting sucked under. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I've been supporting postgraduate students for the last 20 years. In that time, I have seen all kinds of overwhelm, all levels of overwhelm, all manifestations of it. And it is one of those things that I don't think you can get rid of completely. You can't kind of banish overwhelm from your life as a postgraduate student. But what you can do is learn some strategies to help you feel calmer and to help you move through it more quickly when it does start creeping up on you. And that is exactly what I'm going to be talking about in this video. The first thing I want to talk about is the guilt and the shame that often comes along with overwhelm, because when we start feeling like this, we beat ourselves up about it and we think, I should be able to manage my workload by now. For goodness sake, I'm a PhD student. There must be something wrong with me, right? No, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Overwhelm is incredibly common in PhD students, and I tend to think that overwhelm is something that PhD students are particularly prone to because they are smart, driven, ambitious people. Smart, ambitious people have a tendency to say yes to things. They have a tendency to want to grab every opportunity that's in front of them. So it is no wonder that PhD students often end up in a state of overwhelm. So it's not a fault, it's not a failure. If anything, it is a symptom, it is an indicator of how smart, ambitious and driven you are. But it can't continue, okay? Because burnout, and nobody wants to burn out. And one of the quickest ways to burn out is to just suck up the overwhelm and to just plow on regardless. But that is not what I want for you. So let's have a look at what we can do to banish those feelings of overwhelm. The first thing you're going to do is grab a pen and paper and set a timer for 30 minutes. And then you are going to write using the prompts that I'm about to put up on the screen. So get ready to take a screenshot. One thing that I want to say about these prompts is don't overthink them. Try to just write down the first thing that comes into your mind when you read these sentences, when you look at these questions. When you do an exercise like this, a number of things happen. The first thing is that you gain some distance from your thoughts because they are out of your head now. They are on that piece of paper in front of you. And that little bit of distance can help them feel a lot more manageable. It also helps you get some clarity because when you've got all this written down in front of you, you can start looking at that and you can see some themes and you can see some patterns. Also, when something is down there on a piece of paper, it allows you to analyse it more rationally because, as I've just said, it's not in your head anymore, it's on the piece of paper. So you can be quite objective about it. And it does help you take a step back from those feelings and those emotions that might have been clouding everything when all of this stuff was just in your head. The next thing you need to do is reflect. Take a look at what you've written and really take some time to take that in. Have a look and see whether you can see any recurring patterns or themes, things that are challenging, things that are contributing towards this feeling of overwhelm. Use a highlighter, underline things, do whatever you need to do to get really familiar with what's going on that page. The next thing we're going to do is recognise your strengths because these are the things that you're going to draw on to pull yourself out of the overwhelm. So grab your pen and paper again and spend 10 to 15 minutes writing down your answers to these questions. And I think this is a really important stage because you've been overwhelmed before. This probably won't be the first time that you felt like everything's got on top of you. However, those previous periods of overwhelm, you got through them. You came out the other side, you survived them. And what we need to do is look back and see, well, what helped you get through that? Who helped you get through that? What particular things were going on around about this time? What things did you make happen? What things did other people support you with? So we need to be going back and looking at your strengths. So what strategies did you use previously? Because those things are going to be really valuable to you in moving forward. The next step is to detox your to-do list. Here, we need to look at that list of tasks that you're currently working on, or tasks that you need to get round to and you haven't got round to them yet, or things that you're feeling a kind of mounting pressure around. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to look at that list of tasks and we are going to go through them one by one, asking these questions as we do. And if your answers to any of these questions are no, then these are things that we can take off your to-do list, or they're at least things that we can postpone. We can kick them into the long grass. This is going to give you a list of things that you can take off your plate, things that you can decline, things that you can withdraw from. Use your own judgment when you're doing this. And remember, do not feel bad about letting people down, okay? You are not letting people down. At the moment, you're feeling depleted, you're feeling demotivated, you're feeling like everything's got on top of you. And that is not the kind of state that you need to be in to be helpful or of service to other people. So you need to look after your own needs first, okay? You cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to fix your own oxygen mask first before helping others. And insert any other relevant analogies. So it is much better that you take things off the radar at this point in time, you take them off your plate, and allow yourself some time and some space to recharge, to work on the things that really are a priority. And then when you're feeling better, when you're feeling a little bit more on top of stuff, then you might consider going back to some of these things. The next thing you need to do is get out your diary or your electronic calendar and start literally making appointments with yourself to do the tasks that you want to prioritize at the moment. So go through, look at what you want to get done, and actually put time slots in your calendar to do them. So between 11 and 1 on Monday, you're going to be working on the first draft of this section of your literature review. Or between 3 and 5 p.m. on Thursday, you're going to have a look at the ethical approval process at your institution and figure out what you need to get together for that. So by actually making these appointments with yourself, it makes it much more likely that these things are going to get done because there is an allocated time slot in which you've got to do them. If you feel a little bit overwhelmed when you start putting things in, maybe only do it a couple of days ahead or a week ahead. So just take it one step at a time. And then when you get to the end of that period, then you can put some other things in and you can maybe start planning a bit further ahead then. But just take it literally a couple of days at a time if that's going to help you. Also, decline any invitations that have appeared in your electronic calendar from other people if those things are not aligned with the tasks that you currently want to be working on. And don't feel bad about declining these things. We also need to put one other type of appointment in your calendar. And these are appointments that are going to be helpful for you in getting through the overwhelm. So what you need to do is think back to what you wrote down for your strengths, for the things that had helped you get through overwhelm before. And you're going to create some appointments, not too many, just a few, that are going to be filled with helpful things, with useful things, with restorative things, with supportive things. So for example, if you have a friend or a family member or a fellow student who is just a generally lovely human being who always makes you feel so much better every time you spend time with them, you might want to get a coffee date in the diary with them for later this week or next week. If there's a particular activity that you really enjoy that has always been incredibly helpful for you when you've been feeling stuck or overwhelmed, something that's helped you take your mind off your PhD, book club, yoga, whatever, you want to put that in your calendar as well. One thing I will say is don't pack your calendar out too much with all of this stuff because that then creates a kind of pressure to actually get these things done. These are things that are supposed to be supporting you, not kind of contributing to the next episode of Overwhelm. So just be careful how much of this stuff you're putting in, but you do have to put some in, okay? Because something needs to change. You need to do something differently. You need to be adding those supportive activities into your life that are going to help you get through overwhelm. Because if you don't, well, you're not really changing anything, are you? And nothing changes if nothing changes. So get those in the diary too. So there is only one thing left to do, and that is to go and implement everything that I've just taught you about. So go through the process, go through the steps, write it all down, analyze it, see what's going on, identify what your strengths are, and then start making some plans. Start feeling better about saying no to things, and actually start booking appointments in your calendar, in your diary with yourself to work on the priority tasks, but also to put in those supportive things as well, to make time for the things that actually help you push through the overwhelm. And just lastly, I'd say please do feel free to share your experiences and your ideas and strategies that work for you in the comments, because this is something that I don't hear being talked about very much in universities, in institutions. It's one of those things that everybody knows goes on. Everybody knows that PhD students experience overwhelm, but we don't often do a lot to kind of tackle it head on and have open conversations about it. So feel free. in the comments, just offload, tell us how you've got on with the strategies in this video, tell us if there's anything helpful that I haven't talked about in this video, because I think we really do need to come together around this kind of stuff. So knock yourself out. Anyway, I'm going to stop wittering on now. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you are feeling a little bit calmer, a little bit more in control now, a little bit more equipped with some new strategies to try. And I will be back in a few days with another video on the ups and the downs and the messy and the magical and the overwhelming of PhD life. So I will see you there.